Good morning, everyone in the US, and good evening to all of my friends in Vietnam. Welcome to season two of Lit in English. And I just came back from my vacation, and we did the fine episode of Lit in English in Cabo, Mexico, and it was um, like an hour plus 1 hour from where my timeline is. Therefore, earlier I actually woke up an hour earlier to open Zoom, but then I realized that it was only 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which was only 8 p.m. Vietnamese time. So I had to reopen the Zoom to start it at the right time. Anyway, welcome back to another great season. And the goal for our Zoom meeting is that we will work together, go on a journey to share with each other the knowledge, the great knowledge that we have learned in English. And our mission is to spread this amazing knowledge to every corner of the world. And that is the reason that we are doing this in English. And I would like to thank you very much for joining me on this journey. It's making the journey so much easier and so much more fun. And yeah, let's get right to it. So today we are going back to the very first idea, very first principle, and that is the sixth barrier. All right, so what is the sixth barrier? I would like to invite you to draw a stick figure right underneath. All right. And surrounding this stick figure, let's draw barrier around the stick figure, kind of like that. That's one. Two. So each of the color is a representation of a barrier surrounding a person. That's three. And this will be four. This is five. And last but not least, this is six. So these are the six barriers that represent the challenges that we face once we come up with an idea. And these are the things that stopping us from materialize things that we truly need, that we are truly wanted. And hello to Dong and hello to Hong Long here. Thank you for saying hi. Right. And the goal for this presentation is to help us name these six barriers so that we know exactly what it is, so that we will find a solution to break through all six of these barriers. And the very first one, it is called limiting belief. Belief. And once again, thanks for everyone for joining me in this Zoom call. Your presence here is very meaningful to me. And if you can chat like Chow Tat Tung, say thanks Ben here, or later if you have any question or anything that you would like to share, feel free to chat or raise your hand to interact. That will make the presentation much better. All right. So the very first barrier is called limiting belief. So what is a limiting belief? Limiting belief is a set of belief that we have that limiting ourselves. For example, let's say if you want to be beautiful, you want to be healthy, right? Let's say you watch a movie and in that movie you see an actress or an actor and they are so beautiful. They have like beautiful hair, they have like beautiful skin, and they have beautiful body. They just look great and you love the way they speak so much, the way that they talk. And you want to be like that. And the crazy thing is the second that we have some sort of desire or when we have an idea, often we limiting ourselves. We start to make excuses that we are not good enough. We're starting to make excuses that we won't be able to get it because A, B, C, or D, or whatever. And this is the thing that's stopping most of us from achieving the thing that we want. And I heard a very amazing story in my psychology class. And the story was about how Thai people, like people from Thailand, how they train their elephants. And the way that they get the elephant to stay in one place is they tie to the elephant leg a small rope. And because they start doing that when the elephant was young, it at first the elephant didn't like it. The elephant tried to break away, but the harder the elephant tried, the more it's hurt itself, and it seemed like it is not able to break away. And and after a few days, the elephant gave up and threw out the elephant life, even though the elephant was growing bigger, even though the elephant was growing stronger, but it never tried to break away from that small rope again. And that is a limiting belief. Often in life, we are much more than what we think. We are capable of so much more. But because we have this barrier of limiting belief, we no longer think that is possible. Another example is running 21 kilometer, right? Or even 42 kilometer. A lot of us, when we were asked to do that, usually we just say, no, it is impossible. There's no way that I can do it. But if you truly think about it, like back in history, like when we was like cavemen, where we live in cave and where we have to hunt for food, people walk and run all the time, and often they have to walk and run in a long distance in order to find food. And walking and running is just a normal activity that people do every day. Furthermore, let's think about this. Nowadays, we get to eat like 3 meals a day, right? And people was like, I have to eat, otherwise I don't feel good about it. I need energy. And using the same example, we really don't have to eat for the entire day. Even a couple of days without food is fine because back in the past when we was cavemen, we don't really have to eat because we're not necessarily able to find food every single day. And it was normal to have an empty stomach for a day or two. And it is actually healthier. One of the big issues that we are facing right now is that people are eating too much. And they develop like heart disease and everything else. So limiting belief is huge, and this is the very first thing that we need to realize, and this is the very first step for us to get to where we wanted. And I can see that Jesse shared here that having a belief that we cannot do something, even though we have not tried it at least one time. There you go. And that is actually true for all six of the barrier, because of these barrier, we don't even try. All right, but it is okay. Together, we will give the definition of what it is. We will know exactly what the six barriers are, and we will uh, we will fix it. We will get it done right. And let's move on to the second barrier. The second barrier is called the fear of failure. Fear of failure is the fear that you might not be able to do it. Some people even think that they cannot, they will not get there. And this is the fear, like what Jesse mentioned earlier. We we fear that we unable to get it done right, and that's stopping people from do it at all. And don't even say that. Ask, I think there's a question how to recognize whether we had limited belief and or overthink or illusion. These two are very similar. Very good question, by the way. So limiting belief is the belief that you there's a limit to what you can do. Illusion is that it is more broad. Some people they have an illusion that they can do something greater, even though they cannot. Let's say some people think that they can fly, right? Like physically speaking, without any equipment, it is impossible up to this point that anyone can fly. So that would be one of the illusion. Or in psychology, there are some people who just like they scare of like tight space. They cannot stay in a very tight space. They need it to be able to move around. And one of my cousin who helped with those patients, he told me a story of how he has to like support a group of 8 people, and one out of those 8 people in the group, the girl she just absolutely scared of flowers. Like she was just fine, but the second that she see flowers, she just unable to like walk past it, because I think like in her head, like the flower is gonna kill her or something. So just one afternoon when everybody was just talking and just walking down the street, and all of a sudden the girl would just stop. And then my cousin asked her like, "Hey, why are you stopping? We are almost there." And then she just pointed at the flower, and then you say that there's flower there, and she just cannot continue. So that is another example of illusion or overthink. It can be much broader than limiting belief, because illusion or overthink could be things that people think that they can do, but in reality they might not be able to, or they can come up with things that is like way more than what reality is. And for the barrier that we are focusing on right now, it is a limiting belief that's stopping us from getting to where we want to be, from a materialized goal or a vision. Yep. And like Jesse said here, illusion is also a kind of limiting belief. Yep. Just another way to explain it. All right. And the second one is the fear of failure. The fear of failure is a type of fear that stopping us from taking action, similar to what Jesse said earlier. It's kind of like a limiting belief where we can't even do anything, right? And we don't even try. We don't want to try because we have the fear of failure. For example, let's say if for all the men out there, right? If you see like a beautiful woman walk down the street and you want to talk to her, you want to ask for her number, but you have the fear of failure. You're afraid that she might say no. And in reality, even if she was to say no, that doesn't gonna kill you. It's fine. You can live another day. You can meet someone else. But often the fear of failure just stopping us from doing anything at all. Or all the women right there, right? If you were to meet someone, a man, or let's say if you were just seeing a business opportunity, all you have to do is just to walk over and introduce yourself and introduce your business idea, which can help you make a lot of money, for example. But it's the fear of failure kind of like stopping you from doing that, even though, like I said earlier, it's not going to kill you. You can always have another. You can always have another opportunity to approach someone else, but the fear of failure stopping us from taking action. And there is a very famous quote stating that you miss 100% of the shot that you do not take. And people are using this in a baseball setting. You know how like for baseball, you have to like be able to like hit the ball. If you don't try to hit it, then that's mean you miss it 100% of the time, right? If you take 100 shot, if you don't even like take the shot, of course you're gonna miss it. But if you try, right? If you get luck, even if you get lucky, you probably can hit it one time out of 100. But because we don't take action at all, we just unable to make it, right? And for let's move on to the third one. So after the fear of failure, we have the fear of judgment. All right. Fears of judgment is when we, let's say we have an idea, a business idea. We talk to our families, our friend, and we might afraid that they would judge us. They would look down on us for having those ideas. And and that was actually one of the story of one of the wealthiest men in the world, Jeff Bezos, when he had the idea of Amazon. Um, when he tell everybody about his idea, people think that he was crazy. They were judging him because he was making a lot of money back then with a very big company, and he told people that he wanted to sell books from his garage, doing a business like an online business of selling books, and people thought that he was crazy, and and at first like that kind of like stopping him for a while, but then later, you know the story, he is becoming very successful with it. So the fears of judgment is the fear that people might look down on us, especially our family and loved ones, the people who are important to us. And this is one of the big reason that we are unable to break through of our barrier. And down say, yeah, is it like a fear of not being accepted? That's another word for it, but judgment is a little bit more where we have other people judge us. Let's say um, like people might judge the way I dress, or people might judge the way I talk, or let's say to me, I am perfectly healthy. I'm comfortable with my weight, but I might when I go to Vietnam, I might have the fear that people might judge of how overweight I am, right? So that could be one of the fear. So fear of judgment is the fear of what people might think about you. So it might not be true, but it's just the fear in your mind of what people think of you, and not being accepted is like, are people going to accept me for who I am? So there's a similarity right there. But judgment, I think, it could be more, it's a little bit broader. All right. And let's move on to the next one. The next one would be number 4. This is lack of prerequisites. A simple way to explain this is just you're afraid that you're not having everything needed to get it done, and this is called the lack of prerequisites. Well, you don't have things that require to do it. For example, most people they know that in order to have financial freedom, they have to start some sort of businesses, and often people when people have a business idea, right? They often try to figure out what they need. Let's say if you want to open a restaurant, you would start thinking about how many people you would need, what kind of help you would need. Do you have the money needed to start a business? And you have to have like a computer system. Pretty much, there are a lot of different things that you need for to start a business. But that is actually only one of the example of the barrier number 4, lack of prerequisites. Because the truth is, you will never have everything you need to start something. You have to work for it. You have to build from somewhere, and you have to like build it up. And one of the stories that I'm very admire of is the story of Mark Zuckerberg when he started Facebook. He was a very good programmer when he was in Harvard when he was 19, and he created a social media called Facebook because he just simply wanted to have a Facebook for Harvard. And Facebook is in the US, Facebook is like a book of picture that people created in their 12th grade so that they can go back and look at the memory that they have during their last years of high school. And Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook because Harvard University didn't have it, and he didn't care that he don't have the money for it. He didn't care about any of the lack of prerequisites, because you actually need a lot to build a website and to build a social media and expand it from there. And he knew exactly what he wanted to create, and he just started. And whatever he need, he's find a way. He didn't even have money back then, but he talked to one of his good friends, and his friend invested $10,000 to buy a server to kickstart Facebook. And then the website keep growing. It was getting popular. It was getting more popular and more popular. And it expand out to other famous school. And then he get more investor. And it's just start growing from there, right? So you have to start from somewhere. And imagine if you was to have an idea of creating a business like Facebook, you would know that you will need like hundreds of employees. You would need like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And just those two, that is already a lack of prerequisites. That is already a fear of failure. And that is already a fear of judgment, because that is a lot of things that are required to start that business. But if you can just start and do what you can and grow it and get the help that you need along the way, you will tend to be more successful. All right. And the next barrier be number 5, lack of knowledge. Lack of knowledge is another kind of fear that you don't have all the information needed. So lack of knowledge, let's say, let's use the same example for starting a business, like I said earlier about Facebook. If we were just afraid that we don't have the information needed, then we will never start anything. But for the story of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, he he is well known for moving fast and break things. As in, he doesn't care if he don't have the information needed. He just do it and he fix it along the way. And the barrier, lack of knowledge, is what's stopping a lot of people from doing. But for Mark Zuckerberg, he just do it, and whatever information needed, he will get it. He will acquire it. If he doesn't know how to do it, he will get the right people, the people who know how to do it to help him. And in his journey, he was able to get an investor who had money to help him um, get the money needed to buy the server that he need. And later he met friends who know how to get even bigger investor. He would have friends who know how to expand the user base. So lack of knowledge is just simply another limiting belief that you don't have the information, you don't have the right information. But the truth is, you don't have to do it yourself. You can get your friends to help you. You can have the other who are going along the journey with you to help you do it. Just like what we are doing right now, right? There are things that I cannot do. There are things that I am unable to do well, but because having everybody here, I can do it. I can ask for help. And for number 4 and number 5, lack of prerequisite and lack of knowledge, it is very important. It is very, very important that we understand this. Because the truth is, if we already have everything we needed, if we have already have the knowledge that we need, often we don't even want to do it. We only have the desire to do things when it is a challenge to us, when we are lack of something. And the beautiful thing is that is how we grow. Therefore, it is all about perspective, right? And there's a famous story about how two salesmen go to Brazil, and these two salesmen they work for a shoes company, right? And after months of checking the country out, and the two came back to report it to the shoes company, and the guy number A would say like do not go to Brazil because they don't even wear shoes over there. You're not gonna make any money. So like that is another fear, right? But the other person was like, we need to go there right away because there's such a big market. Nobody has shoes yet. So it is all about perspective. A person can see opportunity and others are not. And it is okay that we don't have everything we need. It's okay that we don't have the knowledge. But have the vision, if we have the desire, we will find a way. We will be able to do it, and we will find what needed to materialize what we wanted to do. And that will take us to number 6, which is the most important barrier that we need to understand, in my opinion. And that is called lack of vision. Right. And back to the shoes company. Lack of vision is what the very first guy was facing. He didn't think that there would be a market for Brazil in the area where nobody was wearing shoes. That is also a limiting belief of how, you know, he will not be able to sell shoes because people are simply don't wear it. But for the guy number 2, he was very excited that there was nobody selling shoes, and the market is huge and they need to go there because they will be able to become very successful. And he was right. He has the vision of the company doing well. Therefore, under the same scenario, in the same situation, a person with vision, a person with the right mentality, the right perspective, is the one that ended up coming out on top. So that will be the one that will materialize the vision, the goal, or the dream that he or she will have. And these are the 6 barrier. And the next part of the presentation is very important. It is arguably one of my favorite. And this is where I will need everyone to pay attention and hopefully interact and ask questions toward the end. Because once we can understand the 6th barrier, once we can define it and break through this 6th barrier, amazing thing will happen. All right, so let's let me take a sip of water, and then I will tell you a very, very important story. All right, so the story is about a man. His name is Roger Bannister. And this is the one man that was able to break all of these 6 barriers, not only for himself, but for the entire world. So back in the 1950s, people thought it was impossible to run 1 mile under 4 minutes. And for all of my friends in Vietnam, 1 mile is equal to 1.6 kilometer. And the reason that they were saying this, the reason that they believe in this was because the fastest man on earth was not able to run 1 mile under 4 minutes. The fastest record back in that day was 4 minutes and 3 seconds. Many people have tried. They was not able to do it. People hurt themselves. People passed out by the time they get to the finishing line. And all of the doctor, all of the researcher, they did a whole bunch of study to prove that, hey, you know what, it is impossible because your legs wasn't strong enough. The way that the joints of your leg coming together, it is just impossible to do it. There's no way. There's no way that anyone can run 1 mile under 4 minutes. But Mr. Roger Bannister, he thought differently. He's always believed that it was possible. And you know what? He will be able to do it. He tell his friends and family that he will be able to do it. He announced to the track and field club, which is the club for like runner. He tell everyone that he will be able to do that. He will be able to achieve the 1 mile under 4 minutes. And the interesting about Mr. Roger Bannister is that he was not a professional athlete. He was just a student, a graduate student at Oxford. And beside his exercise in running, one thing that Mr. Roger Bannister did differently compared to Arthur is that he had a clear image. He had an image that so vividly that he will be able to do the impossible. He will be able to run past the finishing line of that 1 mile under 4 minutes. And he trained relentlessly, and he kept visualize the achievement to have the sense in his mind and his body. And one day, the fateful day come, and on May 6th of 1954, people in England gather to see Mr. Roger Bannister fail because they didn't think it was possible. And everybody gathered there to watch the man run because he requested for the record to be recorded. So Mr. Roger Bannister, at the age of 25, he did the unthinkable thing. He broke the 4 minutes barrier, running the distance of 1 mile, and his record was 3 minutes, 59 seconds and a half. And that shaken the entire world. And the crazy thing is, he did that just half a second before the 4 minute mark hit. And that is the image that he had in his mind all this time. He always had the clear image, the clear belief that he would be able to break the record before 4 minutes. And the amazing thing about the story doesn't stop there. Just 6 months later, we have like 36 people who not only achieved the same goal, they was able to break the record that Mr. Roger Bannister did. They was able to run faster than Mr. Roger Bannister record, which is 3 minutes and 59 seconds and a half. They was able to run faster. And it is crazy because hundreds of years prior to this event, nobody was able to break the record. But as soon as Mr. Roger Bannister broke the record, many people started to believe that it was possible, and they started to try to break the record. And only 3 years after that, over 300 athlete was able to break the record as well. And it's really thinking about it. Why is it that hundreds years prior to that, nobody was able to break that record? But right at the moment that a normal person who was able to do it, many people was able to do it as well. And after only a few years, thousands and now millions of people are able to do the same thing, which is breaking the record of running 1 mile under 4 minutes. There is something very, very, very important here. And that is taking us back to the sixth barrier, to the limiting beliefs, to the fear of failure, to the fear of judgment, to the lack of prerequisite, lack of knowledge, lack of vision. You see, for Mr. Roger Bannister, there was no limiting belief. For some reason, he just know that it was possible. And not only that, he know that he will be able to do it. There was no fear of failure for Mr. Roger Bannister. Again, because he had a very clear vision that he will be able to do it. There was no fears of judgment, even though people were judging him. People was saying how crazy he was, because all of the scientists, all of the doctor was proven that to be impossible. And he is this one guy who wasn't even a professional athlete saying that he could, you know. But Mr. Roger Bannister didn't let any of that stopping him from achieving his goal. And then Mr. Roger Bannister, he doesn't care about the lack of prerequisite. You know, he wasn't a professional athlete. He wasn't running every day. He didn't make that as an excuse. He was just doing it. And he had a very strong belief that he would do it anyway. He's not worried about lack of knowledge, because there's no way that he can compare to scientists, to doctor who specialize in this field. He just know that he will be able to do it. And that takes us to number 6, lack of vision. What Mr. Roger Bannister have that other people do not have is the vision. So you see, if you hide all of the lack of, okay, then Mr. Roger Bannister had a vision, such a clear vision that he break through all of the barrier, all 6 of the barrier. He was able to have a transformation. Transformation. Okay, he was able to have the transformation to achieve his goal. It is a life transformation. And this is what our group is called, LIT, Life Transformation. And Mr. Roger Bannister, he's not only transformed himself, but he had transformed many other. Because after that run, after that 4 minutes, a little bit less than 4 minutes, he was able to broke the barrier of the entire world, not just he himself. And this is the importance of us sharing what we know, because we have learned this knowledge. We have known the possibility. And if we can share with people the amazing thing of understanding your inner self and the ability to create the life that you wanted, the holistic life. If we can show the entire world that it is possible, then these will be common knowledge, right? Just like Mr. Roger Bannister, hundreds of years prior to to the day that he's broke the record, nobody thought it was possible. But now everyone was doing it. All of the professional athlete was doing it. And similar to Mr. Roger Bannister back in the 1970s, Bill Gates was able to prove to the entire world that you can be very young, yet you can be very successful. You can make billions of dollars in such a very short period. And Bill Gates was able to do that with his company Microsoft. And from his success story, later on we have people who was he was able to acquire the title of billionaire at a very, very young age, like Mark Zuckerberg, like Jeff Bezos, like Elon Musk, and many other creator of other company like TikTok and Snapchat and many, many other. It's like too many to mention. So just from one person who proved that it was possible to do so, we starting to have many, many people. And that, my friends, is what we are trying to do here, right? So imagine this stick figure is like a cocoon, right? If you can break through this barrier, then this person here will become bigger. With a bigger leg, bigger arm, maybe even bigger belly button. The head growing some hair. So it will be like a cocoon that have the transformation to becoming a butterfly. And I would like to share with you the story of the struggle of the butterfly. But before that, I think Don was saying something. What is the foundation of these six limiting beliefs? And what is the relationship of these with the three greed, anger, and delusion in Buddhism? Well, I am not familiar with Buddhism, but for the sixth limiting belief, there's a connection of this six limiting belief to some later information that we will share. So, oh, you said sixth barrier. Yeah, there's a connection. So today is the first day, so we will try to understand this sixth barrier first, and later along the way, we will find the connection. And great question, Dom, because this is the journey of understanding our inner self, and everyone inner self is different. So your development will different from one another. Therefore, there will be questions that you will have to answer yourself, but we will share with each other the information needed to build that connection, to connecting the dot. So hopefully, and I believe that eventually you will be able to figure out that answer to that connection. But thank you very much for your question. And let me share the story called "The Struggle of the Butterfly" very quickly. So the story is about a man who found the cocoon of the butterfly, right? And I would like you to think of the cocoon is just like a smaller stick figure in my drawing here. So one day, a young man, you can call him a boy if you want to, found a cocoon of the butterfly, and he saw a very small opening appear. So he sat there and he watched the butterfly for several hours as it struggled to force its body through that little hole. But then it seemed to stop making any progress. It seemed that it's like that is the farthest that it can go. That it cannot go any farther. So the man decided to help the butterfly. He took a pair of scissors and he snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. And the butterfly then can get out of the cocoon easily. But the butterfly had a swollen body and it was very small. The wing was silver. And the man continued to watch the butterfly, hoping that at any moment the wing would spread out, would expand, and the butterfly would fly away. But unfortunately, that was never happened. In fact, that particular butterfly spent the rest of its life crawling around with a swollen body and a silver wing. It, it never was able to fly. And what happened was that the man, with his kindness but hasty, he did not understand that the restricting cocoon and the struggle, those are required for the butterfly to get through the tiny opening. And that is how it was able to forcing the fluid from the body of the butterfly to go into its wing so that the wing can be ready for flight. And the struggle of the butterfly is exactly what it needs in order to spread its wing to be able to fly. So the sixth barrier itself is something that we needed to do ourselves. There are questions that we have to ask, but it is us who needing to answer those questions. So similar to what Dong Le asked here, you will have questions, and together we will share with each other information. But it is very important that we ourselves have to take the action. We ourselves have to make the connection, just like the butterfly, right? It has to break through the cocoon by itself. And if you can look at the stick figure and the six barriers, you see it's kind of look like an egg, right? So if you can help me imagine an egg, a chicken egg, if we are making an impact on it from the outside in, that means we are about to use it as food, right? However, if the force was from the inside out, if you are able to ask questions, if you are able to find your own answer, if you can reasoning to break through the sixth barrier, then the chicken egg will become life. It will be life because the chick break through the shell after the 21 days incubation period, and it will be alive rather than becoming food, becoming like an omelet or something, or a sunny side up egg, right? So similarly, if we do not break through the barrier consciously to giving ourselves life, then the world will break us, just like the story of the butterfly. And generally, people tend to change after they experience suffering. However, there are people who do not, right? And for those people who did not change, the worst kind of suffering will come for them. And if they still do not change, then losses will get them to change. And the question is, why do we have to wait for pain and suffering and losses to motivate us to change? Why can we just loving ourselves and respecting ourselves to make the conscious decision that we will change. And this is the reason that we need to understand our inner self to elevate our wisdom. And the person who have a clear understanding of one inner self, they will be able to break through this barrier. They will grow bigger. They will grow larger than life. And that is the sixth barrier. This is the very first step of breaking through to start growing your inner self. And that is it. If you have any question or um, any realization that you find important that you would like to share, you can always feel free to write it on the chat or raise your hand. And if not, I will play a song for us to going out with a song. And tomorrow, just like season one, we will continue with the first principle, which is also one of the most principle, that is called the principle of light. And that is the first step for us to shine a light from our inner self, and that will show us a way. That is one of the first force that we will use to break through the barrier, to grow from the inside out, to giving us life. And just like Don shared on the chat, everything begins within ourselves. And you are exactly right. A lot of time people going outward looking for answers. And if you have tried that, just like me, I have done that in the past as well. I look outward to the world because the world is so big, and I spend a lot of time looking outward. But the funny thing is, the more you are looking outward, the more lost you are. Just like the example of the egg earlier, right? Because if the force is from the outside in, then you kind of like becoming food. But if the force from the inside out, if you can go deeper, if you can go inside and truly understand yourself, that is when you will have the transformation. That is when you will grow bigger. That is when you will grow greater. And that will conclude our call today. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me today. Let's go out with a great song, and we will continue tomorrow.